The Cleveland Browns just made some amazing moves in the draft. I'll admit, at first, I was definitely a little bit skeptical of what Andrew Berry was doing because in the first 2 rounds, Shedeur Sanders was literally right there, and it was brutal to watch him fall. I'm not like a Shedeur fan nor hater, but I just think he was way too talented to fall as far as he did. But now we know the Browns ultimately ended up selecting him, and they got him for great value. Obviously, there's a lot of baggage, and there's a lot that comes with him and his name and his brand and everybody that he's associated with, but still, the Browns at pick 144 are getting a quarterback that is one of the most talented players with so much upside out of this draft class, who was projected by Mel Kiper to go number 2 or at least in the top 10. And on top of that, they selected Dylan Gabriel too, who I'm going to talk about out of Oregon, who went 12-0 last season, and they got him before they got Shedeur. We know that the Watson trade set this franchise back for years, so as fans, we have to be ready to wait years for the Browns to finally have real hope again. I don't know why us as fans expect the Browns to turn things around so fast. They never have, but I can tell you one thing. There was nothing to lose with taking on this whole Shaduer Sanders experiment. I think it's going to be a fun and exciting season. I don't expect the Browns to really win a lot of games, but just from like a hype standpoint, there is a lot to talk about, a lot to cover, and butts are going to be in seats in 2025. So let's talk about what the Browns actually did in this draft, because all in all, the first 2 rounds went really well. First off, the Browns got an absolute haul for pick number 2, and honestly, I think that trade affected the way they made picks the rest of the draft. I think with them knowing next year, now they can have 2 top 10 picks, I think Andrew Berry definitely attacked the draft in a different way. 2025, unfortunately, is not going to be about winning games, which we are used to as Browns fans. 2025 is going to be about building towards 2026, and that's why the Browns made so many defensive picks up front. They found Nick Chubb's replacements, which I hate to say, but I do love Judkins and Samson. At least an Ohio State guy is coming in, and then Dylan Gabriel, he was definitely an interesting pick. His numbers were really good. He went 12-0 like I mentioned in the regular season at Oregon, but there was this one clip that kind of went viral of him talking about weather that I want to show you.
We love warm weather. I think we should play more football on nice grass instead of the artificial stuff. And the more sun, the better. Why do we do it to ourselves? Like, do fans want to sit in the snow and the rain? And
yeah, that ain't gonna go well if he can't adapt to cold climates. And it's kind of ironic that he said that stuff and got drafted here, because in that clip, I think he was making fun of Ohio State. Dylan Gabriel is a guy, though, that has a ton of collegiate experience. He's gonna come in and know what he's doing. He's a pretty accurate thrower, and he can move around in the pocket. The only problem and negative thing with him is that he's 5'11", and I think that really just puts a cap on what his game can be. I mean, we have seen small QBs be successful. You can just look at Kyler Murray, but when you look at the big picture, Kyler Murray has never really led the Cardinals to anything, and I think this at the time was a get-me-over pick for the Browns. I don't think the Browns really expected Shedeur to be available at 144, but when he was available there, they just knew they had to pull the trigger because ultimately there was just way too much value there. I mean, getting Shaduer Sanders in the 5th round is just crazy to me. Now, I don't know the backstories, I don't know what was going on behind the scenes, but to me, as a fan, I think Shedeur at 144 was an absolute steal. But let me know what you guys think, because I do know there's baggage. I know there's a lot that comes with him, so I'm definitely curious to hear your guys' thoughts about this whole situation. I already made a video talking about Mason Graham, so let's talk about Carson Schwesinger from UCLA, which is now a Big Ten school, of course, which is still weird to say. And I think this pick says a lot of things. First off, it might unfortunately mean that JOK's career is up in the air, but besides that, Schwesinger is a great pick overall and a guy that could and should have gone in the 1st round. He's also a great story as well, because he once was a walk-on. Schwesinger is a guy that is going to be bringing a ton of attitude to this defense, and I think he is going to fit right into the schemes that Jim Schwartz loves to run. In terms of his physical attributes and measurables, he's 6'2", he weighs 243 pounds, of course he's a linebacker, and then in terms of his strengths and his production, Schwesinger led all Division I players with 90 solo tackles and totaled 136 tackles, 9 tackles for a loss, 4 sacks, 2 interceptions, and 1 forced fumble in 2024, his first season as a full-time starter. He is praised for his fast processing, nose for the ball, and ability to read and react to plays quickly. He consistently fills gaps and navigates traffic with ease, making him a reliable run stopper. In terms of his coverage ability, Schwesinger has fluid hips, quick feet, and the awareness to cover tight ends and running backs in both man and zone schemes. He can drop into Tampa 2, tighten throwing windows underneath, and stay in phase in man coverage. His lateral quickness and range allow him to make plays all over the field, which is a crucial asset in today's NFL, where linebackers are asked to defend both the run and pass. Now, in terms of some of his weaknesses, his ability to shed blocks and take on NFL caliber offensive linemen is definitely still developing. He needs to add functional strength to consistently win at the point of attack, and then also, with only one full season as a starter with 10 career starts, there is a projection element to his valuation. He will need to adjust quickly to the speed and complexity of the NFL. In terms of his collegiate stats as a whole, in 2022 he played 13 games, made 13 solo tackles with 2 assisted, totaling up to 15 tackles, and he had 1 tackle for a loss. In 2023 he played 13 games and had 6 solo tackles with 6 assisted, totaling 12, and then in 2024 he played 12 games and had 90 solo tackles. Definitely was his breakout year with 46 assisted, totaling 136. In terms of how Schwesinger would fit with the Browns, his processing speed, range, and coverage skills make him an ideal fit for defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz's aggressive, fast-flowing 4-3 scheme. Also, given the uncertainty around JOK, like I mentioned, with his health and that neck injury, Schwesinger could step in as a starting middle or weak side linebacker, or rotate heavily with veterans like Jordan Hicks, Jerome Baker, and Devin Bush. Now moving on, let's talk about Quinshon Judkins from the Ohio State University. I think when the Browns selected him, I was both happy and sad. A lot of emotions hit me because it kind of meant that Nick Chubb is probably no longer going to be a Brown. Maybe he will be. Maybe they'll bring him on to be like the vet. I would love that. But just in terms of like him playing and being like an every down guy, I think Nick Chubb is pretty much done. That injury kind of ruined him. So unfortunate. But I do love this pick. He, of course, was an Ohio State Buckeye and won a championship. I was kind of debating over the offseason who was better, him or Travion Henderson. I think it's very close, and I think they both bring different valuable things. I was leaning Henderson, but I can't be mad at this pick because Judkins is definitely a powerful runner. I think you can kind of compare him a little bit to Kareem Hunt in a way, but there's a lot of other options too. Judkins arrives in Cleveland as one of the most productive and physically gifted running backs in the 2025 class. He's standing at 5'11", and he weighs 221 pounds. He brings a powerful frame with tree trunk legs and a running style that blends strength, balance, and agility. He is known for his explosive acceleration, efficient burst, and the ability to finish runs with authority. To get into some of his key strengths, he definitely has 3-down back potential. He has the size, toughness, and the hands to be a true 3-down back, and he's capable of handling a heavy workload. We saw him do it from time to time at Ohio State. He definitely has great vision and patience. He consistently follows his blocks. He uses that patience after the handoff to let plays develop, and his vision allows him to read second-level defenders and make decisive cuts. He has great contact balance and power. He definitely thrives on it, frequently shedding or sliding out of tackles and falling forward for extra yards. His low center of gravity and balance makes him difficult to bring down, and I only expect him to get tougher and tougher as he adds more weight and gets a feel for what things are like in the NFL. But with that being said, he definitely does have some areas for improvement. While he does have good acceleration, his long speed is average by NFL standards. There were tons of plays I can point out at Ohio State where he kind of broke out loose, and a guy in the opposing secondary ultimately caught up to him before he was able to get into the end zone. But still, nonetheless, great pick. I think that he has a ton of potential and a ton of room to grow. In terms of his numbers at college from 2022 to 2024, we do have to remember that he was at Ole Miss before he became a Buckeye. In 2022, he played 13 games, had 274 carries, and had 1,567 yards for an average of 5.7 yards a carry and 16 rushing touchdowns. And then in 2023, he played 13 games, had 271 carries, and had 1,158 yards. It definitely was a little bit of a down year, but he still punched in 15 touchdowns. And then in 2024 at Ohio State, while splitting carries with Travion Henderson, he had 1,060 yards with 14 touchdowns. He definitely made a big impact in Ohio State's run to winning a national championship. Alright, now to talk about Harold Fannin out of Bowling Green. I think this dude is an absolute stud. He put up some of the best numbers out of anyone in the draft. It was just he kind of got a little bit disrespected because he went to Bowling Green. It's not a top tier FBS school, but I think the NFL overlooks these schools a lot because we've seen players be super successful coming out of small schools like Kent State, those type of programs. I think this was a great value pick. I think this was a great pick for Kevin Stefanski's scheme because he loves to use his tight ends. I I think this guy can be a dynamic playmaker. Maybe he won't show it all in 2025. Maybe it'll take him some time to put everything together at the NFL level. But nonetheless, this dude has great potential. I think the Browns got this guy at amazing value. Next up, moving on, let's talk about Dylan Sampson, because once again, great pick by the Browns, but this was one where it kind of officially sealed Nick Chubb's fate, so I was a little bit sad about that, but nonetheless, I was super happy that the Browns got Dylan Sampson, because this is a dynamic and talented player with so much potential. I watched him a lot at Tennessee. I'm a huge college football fan. I think I watch college football more than I watch the NFL. This dude is going to be a stud in the NFL. You can just tell from the eye test in watching him. In 2024 at Tennessee, he absolutely burst out onto the scene with 1,491 yards, averaging 5.8 yards a carry, and he had a whopping 22 touchdowns. It was crazy. He was so good last year, and he brings a little bit of a receiving presence as well. And then, of course, the last pick that I want to talk about is Shedeur Sanders, and I mean, what more can I say? The dude's a stud, but there is a lot of baggage that comes with him. It's definitely going to be an experiment, and I can't wait to see how things pan out, but I'm sure just from a media and business standpoint, the Browns are super happy right now. I saw the social media team already made like 14 Shedeur Sanders posts, so they're going to get their clicks, they're going to get their views, they're going to sell tickets. I think the Browns got what they wanted with this pick. I don't think that Shedeur is going to be the guy that turns this franchise around. I know he has the legendary hashtag and all that stuff, and I'm really hoping for the best. I truly do believe in Shedeur, but I think him sliding all the way down to pick 144 tells us all we need to know about him and what actual NFL GMs and front offices think about him. But still, he has an opportunity. Let's see what he can do, and let me know in the comments below what you think he's going to do. That's really all I have to say for this video. I think the Browns had an A+ draft. I'll give it an A. I think A+ is a little bit biased, but I definitely think this was one of the best drafts in recent history for the Browns. I know I'm a biased fan, but still, I think they got a lot of value. I think they got a lot of talent that can come in and help them win right now and ultimately in the future, which is what is the most important. That's really all I have to say for this video. If you made it to this point, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, and let me know what you would like to see next. And until then, I will see you all later.